Get right here. Let me get right here. What's going on, fam? Peace and love, y'all. What's going on? How y'all doing? Yo, family, what's going on? What's good? I'm waiting till y'all get in. Yo, family, what's going on? Peace and love, y'all. How y'all doing? What's going on? Oh. Family, what's going on? What's going on? Family, peace and love. How you doing? How you doing, fam? M. Williams, how you doing? Who is that? Hey, family, what's going on? What's going on, fam? How y'all doing? Peace and love, y'all. How y'all doing? I'm gonna wait till a few more get in. How you doing? How you doing? Hey, ANT, what's going on? What's going on, fam? I'm just gonna wait till a few more people get in. What's going on? What's going on? Y'all, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, fam. I've been working hard on this book, y'all, and I promise you I got so much to tell y'all. I got a lot to tell y'all. Because like I said, I want my actions to show just so you guys can get this information. I'm just gonna wait till a few more people get on, just so I can talk to y'all. Family, peace and love, y'all. What's going on? Okay, look. Give me 45 more seconds. Then I'm gonna talk about it. Peace and love, fam. How y'all doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let me see. Yo, fam, what's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? Give it 30 more seconds. Ooh. How you? Okay. Turn this off. Peace and love, fam. Okay, now, family, you know I've been working on this book for I want to say 6 months, right? Because my goal was to formulate a plan to give people understanding of how to legally rob a bank. Now, when I made this book, the whole concept was to understand credit and how to leverage credit. But it became beyond leveraging credit because I think that everybody think that everyone is on the same caliber when it comes to credit, right? You'll have an individual with a stack sheet, a long rep sheet of credit, right? A person who got 15, 20 years in credit history. Most of the times, the average person's journey isn't the startup person journey. And when I teach credit, I try to teach people from ground up. I don't try to teach from up to go upper because it's like you're not going to get the fundamental aspects of credit, right? And also, I'm probably one of the first people that try to teach people how to access credit from different avenues. I was one of the first people. I'm not saying I'm the only person. There's other people who've done it as well. But I was one of the first people that was teaching people about the auto loan conversion. Because for many years, the bank would give you a $50,000 car loan. They'd give you a $60,000 car loan. They'd give you even a $100,000 car loan. But the bank would still hesitate to give you a $50,000 personal loan or a $50,000 business loan, even a $50,000 business line of credit. So my goal of this book was to teach people how to attack credit from all avenues because there's not one way to obtain credit, right? So some people might look at gaining credit would be like, hey, if I get an Amex credit card, I'm good. But this is the thing. That's not the only avenue. And that's what a lot of people When they teach credit, they skip steps. So if you ever watched the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, many people didn't get that concept because what Robert Kiyosaki did essentially was buying real estate, and he used debt that would be considered the real estate loan that he had received, right? And what he usually do is build up the property's value by, let's just say, if you take out a renovation line of credit or a renovation loan, the renovation loan is applied to the property. After the renovation completed, that's when you got the aftermarket value, right? So the aftermarket value, let's just say if you got a $500,000 house, you put $200,000 in it, right, through a renovation loan, right? And after the renovation loan, you owe the bank $700,000. But let's just say if the house appreciates, right? So for this $700,000 house, now it's worth $900,000. That's $200,000 in positive equity. This $200,000 in positive equity you can pull from. Now, telling the average person this, who probably working at KFC, you just jumped the gun. So you just literally made someone who's average and trying to get up in life and trying to, build themselves up. You trying to put them, you trying to jump too many steps. My goal is I could teach a person from Subway who making minimum wage how to borrow 100,000, but I could teach them how to go up. You get what I'm saying? Because I done it already. One of my students got 70,000. My other student got 75,000, and they at the bottom of credit. They not top tier with credit. You get what I'm saying? So that was my goal when teaching everybody how to rob a bank, because I want to teach people from the start. Now, people at the top, I'm gonna have some content. I'm gonna have some information for that. I got a lot of information for people at the top, but the people at the bottom is what I'm most focused on, because people at the bottom really want to understand money, because everybody understand money from this idea of being an inventor, marketing, being a salesman, doing stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, you can make money doing a lot of things. You can be a content creator and etc. But what goes beyond content creation is just understanding money and credit, because credit will take you a long way, and understanding credit and how to make more money from that credit can take you a long way. But the goal is you got to at least put yourself in a position to be able to borrow the money. You get what I'm saying? I always tell people that making $100,000 on a business might not be easy, but borrowing $100,000 is just as easy, due to the fact that the only thing separates you is information. You don't got to be talented to build credit. You don't got to be a genius to build credit. You don't have to you don't have to be creative to build. I mean, like creative in the sense like innovative. Like you don't have to come up with the next light bulb, or you come up with the next idea for Tesla, or you coming up with an invention to build credit. Build credit is a simple mathematical equation. As far as you adding accounts to your credit report, you making positive payment history, those positive payment history age, and after the positive payment history age, you check your overall credit report. You go to a bank that fits your credit needs, your credit qualifications, and you apply for a loan and you get a loan. That's how simple credit is. But when it comes to creating a business, it's a little bit difficult, because of course you got marketing with business, you got advertisement with business, and you also got the upfront starter investment. So when I be seeing people be like, man, I want a business, I got a good ideas, and people do have good ideas. I bumped into a lot of people with excellent ideas. They want to do this, they want to do that, but they might not have the upstart costs, like the funds. So when I teach people how to get money and leverage credit, now the dreams become reality, because now you can see it like, dang, he just taught me how to get $10,000, and my business idea cost $5,000 to make. So now I got the money to finance it. Or they might want an ice cream shop, but now you understand credit, you got the money to finance it. So that's my goal, was to get you to understand credit so you can be able to borrow money so you can finance your ideas. Even if you wanted to hop into the credit game of teaching people credit, it's always going to be one thing about credit. This is what I'm going to say. Everybody eats. I eat. The people I teach eat. The people that they teach eat. Because one thing about credit is you borrowing money from a system. So you're not technically, no one can fail. I can get 100 people, and 100 people can all get credit. But when you have a business, you can get 100 people, but one person would succeed as far as them marketing and them making money off sales. You get what I'm saying? And so when I teach people that concept, They like, man, you not lying. So if you got 100 people, I can get, let's just say this, with my knowledge and my education, I can get 118-year-olds, right, fresh out of high school, and teach them how to build their credit, A through Z, and they list everything that I say as far as building their credit. They don't have to make more income. They don't have to do anything not like different. They can just do the same thing I'm teaching them step by step by step. And by the time they are 19 to 20 years old, they will have a full solid credit profile. And we will take all the 18-year-olds, all the 18, they turn 19. So we will take all of them to one specific bank. All of them will apply for an account with that specific bank. And once they apply for an account, they will apply for a certain credit type. Credit product. So whether that be an auto loan, whether that be a credit card, and etc. Right? I will have each one of them apply for a credit card with the same answers, not literally, but around the same type of answer as far as how much money they make, where do they live, and etc. And all of them will receive the same line of credit. Because one thing about the credit system, it's a digitized system that encrypt all of your information as far as your payment history, your credit history, your length of time of your credit history, and also the product that you're looking for. And when they compile all that information, it come up with an automatic number. You get what I'm saying? So it's a system that you are using to essentially gain wealth, opposed from you creating an idea or a business to jumpstart an idea that you have. And what makes credit beneficial is because credit can make a person who don't have nothing rich. And that's for anybody. I'm the best example because remember, I gave everybody the story and I actually showed the evidence that my mother, she worked for home care. She probably made no more than $30,000 a year. Imagine a person who make $30,000 a year or even $20,000 a year, and you just put $120,000 in her hand. So that's 5 years of 5 years of her income in one time. There's no tax or nothing, tax free. So you got to ask yourself, damn. So if you can do that, you just literally changed the game because you gave her 10% of $1 million. You get what I'm saying? Like 10, 11% of $1 million. Can you imagine working at Walmart getting 10% of $1 million? But the thing about it is she can do it again and again. And remind you, I built her credit up. So that means I was the one who put her on as an authorized user. I taught her how to do this, how to do that. And she followed all the steps. And so now she's able to get credit. Now, can you mess it up? Of course a person can mess it up. Everybody make stupid decisions or whatever. That's their business. But the fact that I was able to do that, you change the game with credit. And most people can't teach people at the bottom about credit. And it don't matter if someone supports you or not, the information is there. This for anybody. You don't have to listen to me or take my advice or listen to my book or watch my book. Anyone can build money strictly out of understanding credit. And anybody can get their credit reports cleaned and repaired and start again. Anybody. It don't matter what you have on it, student loans, whether you have bankruptcies, repossessions, late payments, you can take all of that off. And once all of it come off, you can start your credit fresh. That's the game right there. And then with the money that you make, the money that you borrow, that's when you can decide what business you want to hop into. That's when you can decide, okay, I want to hop in this field of business, or I want to hop in this field of business, or I want to do this for a business idea, or I want to do this. And then it's going to make, it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to help you, navigate your plan to make more money. For me, I tell everybody, if I could start over, I'll build credit first. I'll never hop into a business field. I never hop into the field of creating a business and start selling because you really running behind. Like you really going to be late. It's some people that build business for 10 years, but it's a person who grab a fresh line of credit and can start what you thinking of for 10 years in 1 month because they got the jump start of the line of credit. You can have the knowledge, but you can't finance the idea, so it means nothing. It's almost like I can do it only if I had the money. Duh. You get what I'm saying? Duh. Of course. If you had the money to finance your ideas, then of course you would make the money. But since you don't have the money to finance it, you got to work the job 2-3 years. So I just saved my mom 5 years of working. So you instead of you going to the job for 5 years, that can be used towards your business. And if you want to go back and you want to borrow more money, you can.
So right now, not only did she get the loan, she had the loan for over a year now. So September will make a year. So you add that 100% positive payment history. She been paying that account, so that looks good on her credit. Now she can go back to what's this bank I was just looking at last night. Um, the bank, hold on. The bank is backed by Truist Bank. I forgot the name of it. They offer unsecured line of credit. I just Lightstream. So she can go on Lightstream and she can ask for a loan, like an auto loan or whatever. They give you an unsecured auto loan and they can deposit the money in your bank account. And if they deposit that in her bank account, that'd be even more. They offer a little higher interest rate, but remember, you still borrowing money and it can allow you to finance whatever you want as far as like your business plans. Like I said, family, the credit game is it never died. Now, this is another thing that I put in my book, right? Because I don't want people to forget credit criteria. Don't forget about credit criteria. Every time you hear me speak about credit criteria come up, nobody mention it because nobody even talks about the inflation that's going on. The inflation is what causing the credit criteria to skyrocket. So what you qualified in 24 and 2015 is not the same in 2025. This is post pandemic, post, through the crisis that we've been going through. And so now the United States is in a lot of debt, even more debt. Lenders is tightening up all of their ability to lend and extend credit to prime borrowers. So back then, subprime borrowers used to borrow a lot. Subprime borrowers would be like people with questionable credit scores and questionable credit history. And you got prime borrowers would be like people in 700 credit score bracket with strong profiles and probably got mortgages, auto loans on their credit, and they building it that way. And so that's another thing that I put in my book because I never want people to forget that. And also analyzing credit. Analyzing credit is understanding, do you meet all of the factors that the banks look for? So yeah, you might got an installment, but do you have an auto loan? You might have an auto loan, but do you have a credit card? You might have a credit card, but do you have at least 2 years in history? You might have 2 years in history, but do you have any mortgage credit? Now, mortgage loans, like this the thing. Auto loans and mortgage loans run hand in hand, meaning they are both installment loans, but they are different type of installment loans. So if you don't have a real estate loan, but you have an auto loan, that can substitute for that real estate loan, even though the real estate loan is one of the highest qualifiers, because by having a real estate loan on your credit with positive payment history, it shows consistency. It shows, a stronger report. But having an auto loan don't really take away from much, especially if you had it for a certain duration of time. So you got to put that, you got to factor that in as well. So if you have an auto loan, you don't really need the mortgage loan because most people don't have a mortgage loan. So you got to be reasonable. So if they don't have a mortgage loan, before you even get an auto loan, make sure you get an installment loan. An installment loan is like personal loans because an auto loan is an installment loan, but it's a different type of installment loan. You got like general installment loans, like personal loans, finance loans. Let's just say if you finance a water heater in your house, or you got solar panels. Solar panels can go through a bank, and they can be a what's them things called again? A solar panels can be a personal loan too. You get what I'm saying? But then when you switch over and you get a car, that's considered an auto loan because it's a different type of installment loan. Real estate loans are installment loans, but they are different types of installment loans. They are called real estate loans. You get what I'm saying? But all of those factors, like let's just say if you had an auto loan, installment loan, credit card, personal loan, or finance loan, meaning you got you finance something like I don't know, solar panels or a water heater or something like that. That's considered an installment loan, and you got 2 years in history. So with all of those factors, the bank can approve you, and that's considered good credit. That's considered a prime borrower. But since people don't have that real estate loan, they at least need that auto loan. If they don't got that auto loan, they're gonna need that finance loan. They gonna bottom line, you're gonna need that finance loan. So whether you get a whether you go to what's the thing called again? Foundational finance. Foundational finance is a finance company who let you finance water heaters. They let you finance, the water systems and stuff like that. So let's just say if a water system is $7,000 and you finance it for $120 a month, that's considered an installment loan. That's good to have in your credit as well, because that is showing a positive payment history, but that's also diversifying your credit report. Because having a diversified credit report shows that you're making payments in all aspects, and it's very, very good to the banks. Trust me, when they see a diversified portfolio, they are way more comfortable lending than to see a person. Oh, he got terrible credit. He only have a credit card. A credit card is terrible credit. Unless you had that credit card for 5 years and they got a limit over 20,000, then yeah, you could talk. But most people have a credit card, and then most people today have a credit card that's an authorized user. I also put in my book dealing with authorized users, because authorized users today it's easy to detect them, because the system, like especially when you go through major banks, right, like Chase Bank, they can filter an authorized user. They don't even count that under your credit report as an account, because even if you have a authorized user that's 10 years old and a bank come back and say you have very limited credit history, guess what that means? They didn't include the authorized user, because the authorized user is 10 years. That means you got good history. But since they saying you don't have enough history, they are basically saying they are excluding to use that authorized user as a determining factor to approve you for credit. You get what I'm saying? So people got to understand that. So AUs was good prior to 2020. 2020, like 2019, 2018, having a authorized user was good. Now, this is what people get confused. People don't know that you're supposed to add an authorized user to build your credit score. So you might be a person that has 680 credit score, a 640 credit score, but you might not have nothing on your credit report, right? But adding that AU could have put another 100 points on your credit. And that would have been good to have, because by you having that AU and that giving you a good score, you were supposed to be able to use that to get more credit. Let's just say you go to foundational finance, or you go to Sunbit, because I went through foundational finance and Sunbit, because it's the littlest things. Like one time I asked them for a line of credit for the dentist, right? And so that line of credit is shown on my credit report. So if you make positive payment history to Sunbit is a finance company, and they finance everything. They finance jewelry, they finance tools, they can finance, I don't know, like I think a trip or something. Like they finance mostly everything. And so if you go through them, you got to meet their partners, and they can give you a qualifying line of credit. And once you get the line of credit, they're gonna report that to your credit report, whatever you borrow. So they might approve you for 5,000, but if you get a loan for like 2,000, that 2,000 gonna be reported. And so since that $2,000 is gonna be reported, you got access to use it anytime. You get what I'm saying? So you got access to use that anytime. What's another thing? Oh, separation of lenders. Another thing that I put in there. Everybody is under the assumption that every bank lend the same, and that's not true. Because I made a big distinction between one of the two biggest banks in America, Chase Bank, Navy Federal. Chase Bank being a traditional bank, Navy Federal being a credit union. They do not lend the same. Neither do they use the same bureaus all the time when deciding for a credit application. But let me also explain another thing that I put in my book. I also explained the what I'm about to say, the pros of having a Chase over a Navy Federal. Because some people might ask, a Chase is better than Navy Federal in some circumstances. Because Chase got accounts that you got limits, you got a credit limit up to $1 million on certain credit cards. I've seen credit cards with a $100,000 limit. It's credit cards that got a $500,000 limit. Right now, Navy Federal got a cap on their credit cards. They got one of the highest credit cards that they have is flagship, a flagship rewards card. But you got to have like a 750 credit score to even qualify for a flagship rewards card. And you got to have an account with Navy for a certain period of time. And you got to already have credit cards with Navy. So that's included as well. Because everybody's under this assumption, yeah, I got good credit. You might got good credit for Navy, but you might not got good credit for Chase. You might got good credit for Chase, but you might not got good credit for Bank of America. And so that's when I integrated another understanding of credit. The first thing that people need to understand is you need to know where your credit is at, but you also need to soft pull your credit. Soft pull your credit allows you to see what lenders look at when they see your credit report. And if you mostly get approved for soft pulls, then you can feel more comfortable with attacking the harder pulls when it comes to credit. Because one thing I don't want a lot of people to do, I don't want people to do this, I promise you I do not want people to do this, is go to a bank like Chase and apply for credit left to right, running up inquiries. And they just denying you, and you wondering why you getting denied, you frustrated, you pulling at your hair, but you not looking at all the categories and the factors that plays on your report. Chase is a whole different ball game. They a whole different ball game. I'm gonna tell you this though. Once you establish your credit real good, I'm talking real good, real solid profile, you can go to both Chase, Bank of America, Navy Federal, American Express. There's no limitations on the amount of money that you can borrow. You get what I'm saying? And all of these institutions is up for grabs. But everything that I was just talking about in this video, everything needs to be understood first. Credit criteria, the amount of accounts that you have in your credit history, the diversified credit portfolio, the time on your accounts. And also, this is something that we don't consider as well, which is important too. It's actually one of the most silent important things to do before you actually apply for these accounts. Have an account with them. Have an account with good standing at a certain institution for a certain period of time says a lot about you. It says a lot about you. I promise you. I'm gonna tell you why it says a lot about you. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Now you in a process, right? You building up your credit and everything like that, right? But the bank don't have a solid foundation with you. So having a checking account with Chase says a lot. Having a bank account with Navy Federal, which you can't apply for a product with Navy Federal without an account, but having an account with Navy Federal for over 100 days is important too, right? Because they look at the activity on your account as well. They look at your deposits. They look at your withdrawals. They look at how much money you receive. They look at what else I'm about to say. They look at your overall banking activity. So you have to include that. And most people don't because it's not a factor. It's not a determining factor. So when you look at an adverse list, right, where they give you all the reasons, they never put in that you never had a bank account with us for a certain period of time. But I'm telling you, from my experience, having a good account with them in good standing can take you a long way, right? And also, if you coming from the bottom and you trying to go up with credit, this is what a lot of people need to understand, right? This is what a lot of people need to understand is when you start from the bottom in this economy, it's not as fast than it was back then. So back then, the average person could have been, look, let me go just save up 800, go buy me an authorized user, and I can use this authorized user, and I can go get credit cards, which you could have done back then, but it's not working no more. So today, it's like you have to build it from scratch. You have to put all of your accounts on there. You will have to put your secure cards on there, and you literally have to work just on building your credit. And most people can't even touch their credit until a year, at least a year. You can't even really touch your credit until a year because once that year passed and you actually, build your credit the right way, and you come off the right way, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, that's when you can have a little fun with it. But you really not even in the top ranks yet. I'm gonna tell you this: the fastest way to build credit is like, if you want to build credit fast, you're gonna have to have some money up front. You're gonna have to have some money up front because it's some things you're gonna have to put on your credit initially just to make it for the long run. Like for me, I put a real estate loan on my under my credit. And after I put a real estate loan under my credit, that helped my situation 10 times better because I had to have that real estate loan for a certain period of time, like 6 months. Then when the bank seen it, it was like, oh yeah, we give you whatever you need. But then I was getting denied a lot too, even with a real estate loan, because it wasn't until I want to say I had the car on my credit for a certain period of time. That's when the bank started taking me serious. So people looking at me like, man, Taquan, like, he doing a thing, bruh. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't feel like I'm doing that thing. I don't feel like it. And I'm gonna tell you why. The difference between so look, the difference between me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm building credit in the heart of a recession. So it's not that easy to just go in a bank and grab 150,000. Bank is tight. And they're like, oh no, this is a recession. So they careful for who they lend to. I've seen people with top tier credit reports getting denied at certain banks. Now don't get me wrong, they got approved that once, but it's just one bank that denied them, which was weird, but they just denied them. And I don't know why, but they had everything. It was top tier credit. So don't get discouraged. It just, you have to know what institution fits your profile the best. I can give you a list of institutions. You go to Synchrony Bank, you go to American Express, you go to Foundational Finance, you can go to Navy, you can go to PenFed, you can go to what's the other bank called? I forgot. It's a digital credit union. Yeah, digital credit union. You got Green State Credit Union. That's a good credit union too. It's a list. And so I'm actually for the last two parts, I got two more chapters in this book, right? So for the last two chapters, that I'm gonna make sure those are entered because it's important to know because everybody look at it like, okay, every bank borrow the same, but I'm gonna make a chapter. I'm gonna make a whole chapter dedicated to subprime borrowers and prime borrowers. I'm gonna give the difference because it's a major difference. Please do not get it confused. It's a major difference. A subprime borrower is an individual with limited or no credit and bad credit that credit score don't really exceed 650, and the amount of accounts on their credit could be limited, and their history could be limited. That would be considered subprime lending. And there's a lot of banks that lend to subprime borrowers, but at the expense that they have to pay a higher interest rate. And you got prime borrowers that at the top of the game, the top of the line with credit, they are almost elite status. So in those situations, there's way more banks for them. Now, the difference between the prime and a subprime borrower is time, and mainly the amount of debt that person took on. Because the amount of debt you take on says a lot too. So, you can have a car, but if you got a $10,000 note, that's good. But it's like the furthest that they can take you is to a $20,000 note. You can't get a $10,000 note and expect to get a $50,000 note because they don't know if they can trust with that amount of debt. That's the trick that they are playing today. When it comes to the banking system today, I hate this economy when it comes to the banking system today. Me knowing what I know in 2018, everybody would be rich what I'm doing. But it's like but the credit criteria make it harder because now people can't shift as fast as they want. Most people can't move as fast as they want. So you got to be a strategist. And the reason why I took on a lot of debt was because I wanted to be able to borrow more, which I was able to borrow a lot. Now, the problem with me was they was giving me like auto loans and stuff like that, but they was trying to withhold a lot of cash loans, like lines of credit, business lines of credit. And I kept asking myself, why would you give me $100,000 auto loan, but you refuse to give me $100,000 cash loan? So Another thing that I put in my book was the bank will give a person $100,000 car note over a $50,000 cash loan is because you have something called lien security. Lien security is when the lender has a financial interest in the collateral that you borrow. So a home is collateralized by the bank because the bank has lien security on your home. A vehicle is protected financially because the bank has a financial security by your home. And it's so important, fam. It's very, very important to understand lien security, because lien security is one of the things that you really need to understand, because the banks feels more comfortable lending that way. That's why when Robert Kiyosaki made the book, I kind of get his perspective, but he's not teaching you guys how to buy real estate directly. So his whole thing was teaching people how to get real estate. But the average person who working at Subway don't have 20% down for $100,000 property, investment property. The average person don't have $100,000 down for $1 million investment properties. You crazy? So when I teach people, I'm trying to teach the regular person how to get money within his means. I can't tell him to come out here with a $200,000 of his own money to put down on the property, because how is it going? It don't make sense because he don't have it. You get what I'm saying? And so my financial book is really for people who borrowing, right? Borrowing your way to the top. Now, people want to learn how to make money with it. There's many ways to make money with credit. So one way I found out how to make money with credit was when you got this type of game and you know what you know. I could teach anybody this. I can do stuff like this. I can give anybody an option. I know what I know, so let's make a deal. Do you want me to charge you for this information, or do you want me to help you borrow this type of money? You give me a percentage. And because remember, anybody will pay for that. If I tell you right now, I can get you a $200,000 loan, I need 10%. Would you do it? Everybody gonna say yes. So that's always beneficial, because you can always teach. Now let's go outside of teaching somebody this. If the average person wanted to borrow money but they want to learn how to make money, the first thing I would teach them is you could buy real estate with it. So the same money that you borrow from the bank, you can value an $8,000 property and rehab it yourself with your own cash. But what make it better is you might not have to buy the property fully with cash, because in real estate and business, or like real estate for like companies, for conventional, its requirement is 20% down. So if you $8,000, 20% down for an $8,000 project, you're looking at like $1,700. So $1,700 down for an $8,000 property, and you pay the closing costs, you come out of pocket like, let's just say 2,000-3,000, right? And you got this full property. And then you rehab the property, you put 30 more thousand, $40,000 down towards the rehab. And once you're done rehabbing the property, they just say you resold it. So now this property you just put 40,000 into is worth 80. So you walk away with a liquid amount of $40,000. So that's still a win. You get what I'm saying? But people need to be able to borrow the money before they can think about a business. Because think about this. Would you ever put your shoes on, then your socks first? No. You will put your socks on, then your shoes. Because before you hop into any business venture, you have to be able to borrow the money. Because time is everything. Yeah, you can say, oh, let's hope that this blow up overnight. But you don't have the means to build it. You don't have the means to trademark it. You don't have the means to finance it. You don't have the means to put down on it. You don't got the means to invest into it. So your business idea is really gonna get washed away. And I've seen so many business owners and entrepreneurs fail, and they wonder why entrepreneurs fail, because they ain't getting no money. They not borrowing no money. They can't go into the bank and get anything. So not only can they not borrow money, but they work a regular job. So the job eating up their day. And after the job eat up their day, they think about their business, but their business at a standstill. They can't do nothing with it. They can't do nothing with it. They cannot do anything with their own business. They can't do nothing because they don't have the finances to put up. And that's my whole objective, fam. That's my whole objective, to teach people how to borrow money before you go chase the bag. Go borrow some money before you go do what you want to do. And you can do anything. The possibility is endless. Because remember, you might got your mind set on real estate, but when you get $200,000 in your hand, you might find something better than real estate. You might do Amazon FBA, which you still need money for. which you still need money for. You still need money. And y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something crazy. I tapped into so many credit products. Y'all know. Um, so let me explain. You got the personal side, but you also got the business side. So just as much as you build your credit report on the personal side, that still leverage you on the business side, because the business on the business side, it requires you to have a strong personal credit history. So when you have a strong personal credit file, that enhances you even more to borrow on the business side. So not only do you have a Chase personal credit card, but now you have a Chase business credit card. And not only can you get a certain limit, but you can request for an additional amount, especially if you need to cover more expenses. So when I called the bank, they gave me 5,000. I said, this ain't enough. I called them, they jumped it to 10. This ain't enough. They jumped it to 15,000. This ain't enough. They jumped it to 22,500. I told them this ain't enough. They jumped it to 27,500. You get what I'm saying? So when they kept jumping it up, they kept jumping it up because I'm telling them it's more expenses. And now, remind you, one time I called, what I did. So when I got that credit increase, I told my supplier, I said, go ahead, send over the invoice for the 14,000. So the $14,000 invoice got paid. But so when I put all the products on my Amazon store, it was going boom, boom. Every day I'm seeing 1,500, 2,500, 3,500. Then one day it said 9,600. Then one day it said 18,000, right? This is every day on the Amazon link, when I was doing Amazon. I just restarted up my brand new Amazon store. So I'm flooding that real soon. But I actually have a couple business adventures that I'm doing right now. So I'm really putting my Amazon on pause because I got something more serious in the vault. But this is all, all off credit card. So a credit card financed it. So while the credit card working hard, I end up paying the credit card back that same week. So they wanted the wire. I sent them the wire for the 14,000, paid off the credit card. That's when they was able to up it. But the fact that you can do business that well with credit, you can't beat it. Can't nobody win. Can't nobody beat nobody who borrow money. You can make $1 million, but if I can borrow $1 million, you can't beat me right now. Because you use your own money. I'm using the bank's money. And if I lose and if I fail, it's okay. The bank's lost the money. But guess what? They're going to write it off. It's going to come on my credit. I take it off my credit. We start over. In the worst case scenario. And sometimes you can win that situation where it's profitable, it's beneficial, and you made some money, and now you can pay the banks back, and the banks can give you more money. So that's always been my agenda. But I always want to attack it on a lower stance because, oh, thank you, fam. I always want to attack it on a lower, in a lower tier because I know a lot of people who don't understand money. Like I would be able to connect that dot when people who don't have it like that and they trying to make some money off credit. Because once I do that, that's when people wake up like, dang, so I really can go borrow 100,000. Some people don't believe it's true. I promise you, I talk to so many people they don't believe it's true. There's no way you got your mama 120,000. There's no way you got yourself credit. Because it's one thing with getting someone else credit. I did it for myself too. I did it for multiple students. That's not like I got so many students credit and lines of credit. I got students who surpassed me when it comes to the credit game because after they went through me, they went themselves and they took off. They really took off. They really been borrowing money left to right, left to right. And I said, congratulations. Keep going. And they said, thank you, bro. You really changed my life. Thank you. We no longer going through what we going through and really, they in position. And so now on the business side, a lot of them not going crazy with the business, but they still going crazy with the credit. So the business is formulated, but one thing, don't get comfortable in is credit. Don't get too comfortable because credit is a trick because you can get real comfortable. When you borrow 100,000, you think it's your money, which it is, but you still got to pay it back. If you don't pay it back, it can affect your credit. You can take it off, but it's the process you got to go through. You get what I'm saying? Because I did it before. Because I can tell you from both sides. Because some people say, oh, if you lose, if you max out your credit card, you have to file for bankruptcy. You don't got to file for no bankruptcy. You can take that off your credit. But most people don't talk about it because they on the internet listen to gurus who don't know nothing about finances, don't know how the rich operate, don't know what loopholes in the air. If I can find a loophole, I can get it deleted. like I always do. I just cleared one of my students' profiles up. He had a $40,000 balance on the credit card. That whole report wiped. He called me and said, "Bro, thank you. Show your channel." I never posted it. I never posted it. Anytime somebody tell me post it for results, I don't post it because some people think I'm lying. Because anybody can show fake receipts. Some people can show fake. What's the things called again? Like when people testimonies, when people say, "Oh, he was a credit builder." I could pay somebody to do that. I don't want like it's like accept it or be like or just say it's not true. That'd be up to you. But I make sure that everybody is situated. And if it is a situation where it's delayed in the process of your report not clearing as fast as you like it, just hold on tight and it's gonna get deleted. He been holding on for some months now. And then it got deleted. So now he back on his credit journey. And I said, congratulations, bro. You're a free man again. And since you're a free man, start over, but do right this time. So when you because some people mess up credit one time, and then they got to come back, and they come back harder. They come back 10 times harder than what they was, because when they first did it, they weren't ready for it. Some people ain't ready for that money. Some people ain't ready for that 100,000. Some people ain't ready for that 200,000. They're not ready for it. They might say they're ready for it. They might, talk about it, but they're not ready for that money. That's real money we talking about. That's real money. Real money. When I say real money, fam, I'm talking about that's real money, $200,000-$300,000. That's real money, and most people can't handle it because it's too much. It's way too much. Oh, my info, yeah, family, you can always shoot me a text at 224-463-1848. Again, my phone number is 224-463-1848. Remember, my book is coming out, fam. So y'all, most people wouldn't have to get no call from me in the sense of like, if you want to do a call for credit, but you could. But when my book come out, fam, promise you're not going to even really need it because everything is going to be laid out. Everything is going to be laid out for you. Now, I am going to come with a different book, but this book is going to hit towards the making the money off your credit. So the first book, I try to dedicate it to borrowing as much as possible because I don't want people to get don't get the concept of it. So borrowing has been one thing, but how to borrow, what's the credit criteria, what needs to be on your credit report, and also I'm also gonna have a book that's deal with debtors, like people having their vehicles from repossession. One of my students, me and him grew a bond. He told me his car got repoed, and I'm like, bro, why you ain't called me, bro? He said, bro, I never even know that you taught that stuff. I said, you didn't know? I said, bro, I talk about it almost in a lot of videos, but he said he didn't know, and they just took his car. And I'm like, bro, one little fix, and I would have made sure your car would have never got repoed, bro. I told him that, and he didn't know. And I tell you, family, don't make that mistake. If your car's in a position of about to get repossessed, let me know. Do not ruin yourself. Do not ruin your situation. Yeah, family, Taja, how you doing, fam? Yeah, I'm still fixing credit. I'm still fixing credit. If anybody ever want their credit done, or you ever want your credit fixed, let me know. And also, family, when I send a request for anybody to get their credit fixed, remember, I always need you to send me the copy of your credit, not your copy of your credit report. Send me screenshots of the account you want deleted. So when you screenshot it, write delete, 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 delete. You get what I'm saying? And put it from each credit bureau because it's easier for me and I don't have to wake you up, keep telling you, text me the verification code. I don't have to do that. You can just send me your report, send me the negative. I will print out the negatives, dispute that through the credit bureaus, and you can sleep like a baby. You don't have to worry about me aggravated. Because I ain't gonna lie, and I speak for all the credit gurus who teach it. We do not like logging into people's personal credit bureaus, finding them accounts, and you could be sending it to us directly yourself. Because that just make our job way more harder. That makes it way more harder. You could be asleep. I could be working on your file at 3 in the morning. I do not want to aggravate you while you sleep to ask you to send me a verification code so I can log in, get the account information, and dispute it. I don't want to do that. So I'd rather you screenshot it from each bureau. So when you screenshot it, on the side of it, you can type delete, delete, delete. You can include inquiries, whether that be inquiries, accounts, collections, whatever, delete, even public information. So if you see something on your report, such as a foreclosure, you see something on your account, such as a bankruptcy, all of that, just say delete. I'm gonna get it deleted. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, yeah. My phone number, fam, is 224-463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848. What the heck? I just clicked the button. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna take this off. Yeah. My phone number is 224-463-1848. Again, 224-463-1848. Taquan, have you figured out how to discharge your mortgage? Of course. So it's not really discharge. So let me explain. I'm just gonna explain it real quick, but we're not really talking about discharge on this live. But I'm gonna give you something real quick. Most people, it's not about discharge or really your mortgage. My goal, I'm a loophole. I deal with loopholes. So when people be talking about discharge, like you paying for it, no. What happened is you can challenge your mortgage, right? And there's a couple ways to do it. Now, it's certain states though. Let me explain. You have non-judicial foreclosure states, and you have judicial foreclosure states. Judicial foreclosure states is the best ones to do it because you have to have court proceedings in order to foreclose someone. Now, the thing about judicial foreclosure states, you also got the right to challenge it in federal court by filing a notice of removal. So if they ever want to file a foreclosure, you can send it up to federal court and you can file an affidavit of indigency. An affidavit of indigency meaning you don't have any money, meaning you don't have the funds to pay the $400 fee for you filing it. And if the judge accepts your affidavit of indigency, what happened is they approve the case and they send the case to federal court. And if they send the case to federal court, if you chose to challenge it, you could challenge it in federal court. And that's been one of the best loopholes because by you challenging it, that costs the mortgage lender a lot of money. And then eventually they're gonna want to give up and they're gonna want to say, hey, let's work something out. But if you don't want to work nothing out, you keep proceeding. A lot of times some mortgage lenders can give up on the foreclosure process. Just because they give up on a foreclosure process, that don't mean in 20 years they won't come back. Because I had somebody, he had his loan for a long time. They've been in that house for 20 years, no payment. They lived in what's that state called again? Connecticut. They was in a house for 20 years. 20 years, no payment. His grandma ain't never made a payment. He been in there for 20 years. And I said, bro, you been in that house that long? With no payment? Do you know? I'm telling him, I'm like, bro, you could have filed a court order for what's those things called again? You could have filed a what's that thing called again? If you homeless, it's pretty squatters. So it's like squatter rights, but you filed an affidavit to pretty much take the property adverse possession. So you taking the property through adverse possession. You could do that within judicial foreclosure states. But when you in a state like Texas, Texas don't have to go through the courts. That's the thing about Texas. I live in Texas. I'm in a non-judicial foreclosure state. If you're in California, that's a judicial foreclosure state. If you're in Illinois, that's a judicial foreclosure state. New York, a judicial foreclosure state. So the states that's not judicial foreclosure, oh, you're gonna have a headache. You're gonna have a headache. You really gonna have a headache. So, just keep that in mind. Is the EIN process still a go? Yes, it is. So with the EIN process, it's a little different because you still got to go through the tri-merging part, and people hate it. I'm doing my student profile right now, and he going through it. He hate it. He like, bro, this is a lot, And I'm telling him like, look, a lot of credit builders are not accepting EIN so easily due to the fact that the credit bureaus put those tight stipulations on those companies because back then CPN numbers, everything used to fly through them. But now they got to go through a compliance check. So they got to validate more information. So that's why you got to really try merger. You got to really build out your profile. And it takes time. It could take you a long time. Yep. It could take some time. Yep. What else? What else? What else, fam? What else? Any more questions? Any more questions before I give up? Before I get off? Any more questions, fam? I'm gonna answer a few more questions before I leave. Passport process. Yeah, I got that. I got the passport process as well. Um, all right, fam. Okay, nobody asking nothing right now. All right, I'm about to go, fam. If anybody need any of my processes, whether it be you want your credit fixed, anything, just make sure you contact me at 224 463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848. What about credit card discharge? Same as mortgage. Yeah, credit card discharge easy. So that's what I do. So if you got a credit card that you're not making payments on, or you late and you want to get it disputed, come to me directly. I'm gonna get you right. And I ship fast. Now this is the thing. If you send me all of the accounts from each credit bureau, all of the accounts, not you can't leave anything out. Whether you want to, if you want me to delete the inquiries, if you want me to delete them late payments, I can send it out before 5 days of every week. Before 5 days. But if I don't have all that information, it can be delays. But make sure I get all of that information. You have to give it to me, because if you don't, it can delay the process. Car loans, we taking all of that off. They ain't nothing. Car loans is just as easy. Okay, fam. I'm out. If y'all want y'all credit disputed or anything, just contact me. My phone number is 224-463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848. Just send me a text that say credit repair. If you don't want credit repair, just say process. And I'm going to send you a list of everything I offer. And if you want credit repair, I'm going to send you that list as well. It's going to be a guide. It's not going to be a guide. It's going to be like a list of everything that I delete. And I can send it off for you immediately. So make sure you shoot me a text, 224-463-1848. I'm out. Peace and love, fam.